today we have very, very fantastic people here that are going to be talking about leveling up your IT career in months. Obviously, we know that Mentor Partners has always been about helping people transition, helping them change, helping them move. The idea is to basically help you plan your transition journey from where you are to where you want to be. We want to be able to hold your hand. We want to be able to walk through it with you. And in this space, the one thing that we have done is to say, okay, we want to bring people who are already in various fields to be able to answer questions that we have. Because we know that in the transition process, there's always that space where somebody has questions. People want to know what if and what if not. And I think that's very interesting. That's why we have this webinar series. So we bring people like Idorain and we bring people like Aziz who are going to be here to answer questions. So I think I will just start off with introducing our panelists proper, because obviously they are not just people who are knowledgeable in the IT sector. There are a couple of things they have done. I'll start to say that Idorain Akpan, once again, welcome. He's a senior systems engineer at Visa. He specializes in application support, development operations engineering, and he has core competencies in containerization. I tried to get that so much. Cloud infrastructure, CI/CD testing, and data center support. And he has grown over the years. He has been able to develop himself. His professional journey is one thing that has been really, really exciting. When I got to read about him, from working at Tech Future Communications Service as an application support and development operations engineer. He also went ahead to work as a senior infrastructure and data center support engineer, and of course, a network engineer and help desk technician. And I am thinking, how can one person be able to do all of this? So welcome once again, Idorain. We're excited to have you, and it's very interesting that we have you here. So I think I'll just start off with the layman's question from me before we go into the questions from that were sent in from our guests. I think I just want to understand, what exactly is IT? If I say, okay, I want to be knowledgeable about IT, what exactly is IT?
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. It's just a lot for me too. I was overwhelmed with all these things. All right.
It's you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what part of the world you're calling from, but hello, hi. It's good to have you guys around, and I think it's always good to have webinars. Like, my journey, it's quite fun because I never did IT in school. Obviously, I did mechanical engineering in school. I ended up being IT, so anything is possible, in the IT world. All it takes is your time, your dedication, and you have to be passionate about it if you're going to learn. So it's not rocket science, really. It's just about the work. So let me just start with your question. Easy, you asked. You really want to know what IT? IT is just an acronym for information technology. And it's just a term that is given to people, or rather, a term that is used to describe the use of computers, whether it's networking, whether it's software, whether it's a technology, whether it's whatever, it encompasses all. It's not really specific. It just has to do, it has to refer to the use of computer. So it could be just networking, you're still in the IT field. It could be software, you're still in the IT field. In database management, you're still in the IT field. As long as you're using a computer, you're computing, and you're retrieving, and you're responding and requesting with your system, with your computer, you're in the IT field, right? So, so there are different areas of IT. You just depends on where you really want to focus on. You have the hardware and infrastructure area. You have cloud computing. So you have database, as I just mentioned. It has networking and security, but also you also have technical support and IT operations. And that's exactly, I think, what we'll be talking about today, if I'm not wrong, right? Isn't it? It's IT is just generally anything you use with your computer systems. As I've mentioned, those public points, it could be data management, it could be cloud computing, it could be hardware and infrastructure. Any field it is IT.
Okay, fantastic. That indeed is very, very interesting. So I feel like I think IT was a bit streamlined, but it's interesting to know that there are various aspects to IT, and then IT is like just one word that defines a very, very large country, if that's the way to use it. So thank you so much for that definition. Before we go forward, I'd like to welcome Aziz Afolabi. Aziz, welcome. It's nice to have you.
Hello,
Please
good
let me know if you
evening.
can.
I can hear you. Good
Yay!
evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm
Yeah,
doing great.
thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. So,
And
like
hi,
I
everyone.
mentioned
Hope you're all
earlier,
good.
Aziz is also one of our panelists, and we're excited to have him. Like our former panelists that just spoke, Idorain, Aziz is also he is project manager at Provide Community, and he also specializes in digital transformation, and he has the skills that effectively drive change, transformation, and technological upgrade effectively. I am getting interested. Oppressed already with people that are in the IT. Please, people shouldn't don't oppress us that don't know anything, because I'm looking at professional journeys. I'm seeing system administrator, system engineer, senior system engineer, project engineer. I'm like, Aziz, is this all of you? Is this really, really all of you? Now I'm excited about the fact that I'm going to learn a lot. So welcome, Aziz.
Thank you very much.
Before you joined, Idorian was explaining to us, what exactly IT is, because I felt like for us to start properly, it would be nice to actually have like the four basic knowledge of what exactly IT is. And he has spoken about it, but then I think the idea of having two panelists is because I want to hear from this side and this side. So please tell us in your own word, if somebody says, you know what, I'm interested in leveling up my IT career, but I want to have a four basic knowledge to say what exactly is IT.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, as we all know, IT, as it stands, as information technology. So, as we all understand what the basic computer is, as we're being taught in primary school, computer is basically something that you process data using the keyboard, um, processing using the what's it called, the CPU, and then it displays the outcome during the screen. So basically, that's how we began with where computer knowledge back in the days. But over the time, it evolves. It started growing beyond, just what basically we can do. So, uh, to just say everything all, IT is just using technology to our own advantage. I'll put it that way. Using technology in our day-to-day activities, and then using technology to enhance ourselves and do a lot of wonderful stuff. So that's what I would say it is, without saying too much of technical stuff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So now there are various aspects of IT, and now we're about to get into the nitty-gritties of IT. And we have a couple of questions that I am excited about hearing the answers from our two panelists. So I'll just start with some of the general questions that we have. Someone asked the questions and said, what is the difference between IT support, network engineering, and IT operations management? Now, I remember when we were trying to define IT initially, we were like, you know what, IT is a powerhouse. There are a lot of things that are under IT. And then we're talking about leveling your career, leveling up your IT career in 3 to 4 months. And somebody wants to know, you know what, are there different aspects of IT? So what is the difference between IT support? What's the difference between network engineering, IT operations? So I think I'll ask Aziz to answer this before I throw the next question to Idirain.
Thank you very much. Well, basically, there are some group of tech people who understands how technology works. There are some aspect of people who uses technology to their day-to-day advancements, just like I did mention earlier on. So the IT support is just to assist individuals who use technology to in their day-to-day activities. So for example, the IT support guys are the people that go-to people where you have any IT challenges, like your mouse is not working, your keyboard is not working, or you've got some technical challenges within doing some stuff within your IT system. These guys will be able to provide you with the level of support that you need to get to do what you want to do. That's for the IT support. Then networking engineers. So like they are like we would say, let me use another term to say there are different people who fixes cars. Like we've got the actual mechanic, we've got the rewires, or we've got the vulcanizers who deals with dealing with the tires. So same thing happens with IT. Network engineers are actually network specialist people who actually understands the network segments, connecting A and B together, and all of that stuff. I wouldn't want to go too much in depth in that, but basically, they are the people who enables this communication that we're having happening, and those people are the people that companies usually use to enhance connectivity to ensure that whatever they're doing is going out there in the world and all of that stuff. Then IT operations. So basically, that now deals with the operations of IT. So, like we all know, there are different components of ITs that make things work within an organization or within a certain settings. I'll put it that way. So, the operation aspect of it, there are other key day-to-day stuff that happens in between that side. So there's someone that looks into that IT operations aspect of things to enhance or to enable some certain things work in some certain environment. So that's another core things about that. I could remember when I was choosing my career path. I remember I signed up for my MCSE. That's the Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, and part of it is you have to have a basic networking knowledge because you need to configure your computer to be able to reach out to the internet. You need to understand how the IP system works, the subnet masks, and all of that stuff. And you can then decide if you want to go into the networking part or you want to just be on the IT engineer side, which is basically the IT support and all of that stuff. So I remember I ventured into a CCNA. After doing my first class of CCNA, I decided to run away because I couldn't even comprehend my head because I tried to stick to IT engineering because I feel like that's where my core aspect is. But the networking aspect is something that has to deal with more aspect of the networking aspect of things, connectivity, and all of that stuff, which makes part of the whole IT system of an organization. I hope I've been able to answer the question effectively.
Yes, you have. Yes, you
Yes.
have. And that's like I said, I'm interested in in more knowledge about the diversification of various aspects of IT. And it's very good for us to be. It's very good that you've been able to help us understand the key basic job descriptions or activities that surround each of these um, career paths. I like to use that word. I think this brings me to my second question. So somebody says, having understood this, how do I choose? How do I know which to choose? Like, what are the key things I would need to guide my choice? So now we understand the difference between the IT support and network engineering and the IT operations manager. Now, I want to choose what are the key things I need to look out for? What are the key things I need to know if I'm going to have to move into the IT space, understanding that there are various aspects of IT. So I think I'll take this question to Idorian. Idorian, what are the key things that people who are interested in transitioning into IT or upscaling their IT career, what are the key things that in your expertise you think they need to look out for that would affect their decision basically?
Okay, a very good question, and I think is that's a question that most people normally do ask. We talked about three things. Which Aziz just finished talking about. He talked about IT support. He talked about network engineering. He also talked about operations as well. So it's very important to know the differences between these three. Let me give an instance. For IT support, when we say IT support, it's a support level where um, you have the person on the other end with the end user. The IT support interfaces with the end user. So, for instance, now you're working for a company, network company, and you guys are selling modems. For instance, modems, or maybe some network materials, and your customers or your clients are using these products, correct? And there is always a support line, right, that they can call in case they encounter some issues, for instance. And probably you're using a Wi-Fi. Let me give that an example, like you more know about it. Your Wi-Fi is not working. You're not browsing. There's no internet in it. And you look at the support line and you call someone and you're telling that person, my internet is not working. What's going on? That is IT support. It's like a help desk technical support. That's the first person you talk to that will try and help you troubleshoot whatever issues that you're feeling. You get, so that's IT support. It's like first level support. It's more user facing. You get, so basically there's some skills you have to have for that. Some soft skills and some technical skills. You get one, either the product is proprietary, it's generic, or it's a popular product, whatever it is. You have to know what I don't want to go to technicals because of the guys on call. You have to know the ISO, you have to know the network model. You have to understand networking, basic networking nomenclatures. You also have to know how to troubleshoot. You have to have some ideas about the OS. For instance, you have Windows, you have Mac, you have Linux. You have to know those things because at the end of the day, whatever information you're getting from the end user, your job as an IT support is to be able to understand it. And if you cannot support it, then you're moving to the next level. And now I'm kind of separating them two now. Now, the network engineers, basically the level 2 engineers, they're more advanced. So if you're going to choose a role for IT support, for instance, there are basic network knowledge you need to have. Basic network knowledge, right? So it doesn't take much of too much skills, but you must know how to interface with the customers. You must know how to talk to them, how to calm them down. You must be able to listen to them. You must be able to do some basic troubleshooting to get the information you need. And if something you cannot handle, then you now have to move to the network engineers. Now, for the network engineers, right? Network engineers their role are more into implementation, design. You understand? They are into the core area of networking. You get they are dealing with the infrastructure itself. They configure those network elements that we, the end users, don't even know about. The end users just let me just browse, that's my own. But network engineers are the back-end guys. So these are the guys I call level 2. They're the guys that really, if you have an advanced issue, and if IT support cannot handle the issue, IT support, okay, come, I'll direct you to another person that can see your case. Most of the time when we hear that, is actually talking to the level 2 support, which are the network engineers. Now, for the skill level for network engineers, it's no longer basic. You don't need basic knowledge. Now you need deep networking knowledge, right? Deep networking knowledge. You have to know about TCP protocol. You have to know what DNS means. You have to know what DHCP means. You have to know what some routing protocols are about. I don't know if I'm going too technical. You have to probably be certified. You probably have to have your CCNA or CCNP. You have to know a lot. Firewall management. You have basically a couple of things, and it's deeper. So because the network engineers, they actually focus on the backbone of IT. They are the guys that design and maintain communication between the systems. So if you're going to go for that role, then you have to go much deeper in knowledge finding. You have to go much deeper. You have to upskill more. Then for the IT operations manager or whatever, it's not basically a too technical role. It's more of a management role. I have my couple of my managers at work. They are managers, and what they do when they come up line, when we have so many issues, issues coming from here and there, and what they just do, they kind of manage. They manage the infrastructure. Okay, what's your report? What are we going to do this? How are we going to go about this? For this particular role, it's just management role. You must know how to be a good manager, how to be a good leader. Probably you have to have a little bit experience in project management. You have to do ITIL. It's like a framework for management. So you understand? And yes, basically, you have to have ideas of network infrastructure. Obviously, you have to have some kind of experience, some ideas about it. But your role here is not really to do the engineering work, right? Your role here is to manage the infrastructure. You get manage the network infrastructure, lead the network team, lead the projects, create a strategy you need for your team. So now that will answer your question, because the question is, how do we these rules fit us? So it just depends on your propensity for knowledge, right? You want to be an IT support? I think it's less work. I call it light work. When you go to the gym, you take the 5 kg and you do some light work. Some people, they go to the gym and they do some light work and they are done for the day. You get? So for network engineering, you have to carry a bit more, much more weight. You have to acquire the skill. So basically those are the differences in their role. Different skill level, different knowledge altogether.
Thank you so much, Idere. So it's very enlightening, and I feel like you did justice to that, because now I understand, or I believe whoever had that question now understands that, what, for you to be able to make a decision on what part of IT to go to, you need to be able to access your abilities, your interests, and then you know what exactly the end goal is. So if you know that this is where you're going to stop, then this is how far you have to go. If you know that this is what you want to do, then you know that this is how far you have to go. So it definitely is very, very interesting, and I would say thank you for that. I think the next question I want to ask, I would like to ask Aziz this. So somebody says that, can I learn IT support and network engineering skills in 4 months?
Yes, yes, you can. Thank you very much for Idoroyi for the very good analysis and breakdown. Yes, it's possible based on everything that's been said. I think over the years, IT has been evolving very, very rapidly. Unlike, I remember when I ventured into IT, that was in 19, no, not 2007. I remember we are doing Windows, then it was Windows XPs, and you could imagine how technically we were doing stuff then. Unlike now, where everything is now cloud based and all of that stuff. So if you're interested in in IT, yes, and if you want to upskill yourself, it's very possible where you can learn the law. And also, there's been a lot of how do I put it? A lot of certifications or a lot of courses that has been tailored into those who've got passion for it. And also, I think another thing I would just like to say is just that it's very important to understand where your core aspects lies. Like I did give an example earlier on, when I started my journey into IT, I went for my Microsoft CCNE, and then I went into a bit of networking. Then I figured out that I think I'm more of an engineering aspect than the networking aspect, and I had to stick to that and then take it from there. But it's also good to understand the basics of everything, and I think that's something that you need to learn along the journey into becoming an IT support person, or IT engineer, or networking engineering person. And I think another thing is just that it's not even basically about the the um the online knowledge that you gather. You also need to also venture into some practical stuff. You need to be in an environment where you see things happening for yourself. I'll give an example. When I finished my secondary school early 2000s, I just wanted to walk into the IT field. The next thing, then cyber cafe was a main hit in Nigeria in early 2000, 2001, 2003. So the first job I took after leaving secondary school was working in a cyber cafe, and within a month, I became an IT engineer. I was able to. Then we're converting Windows 98 into Windows Windows XP then. And I was able to do that. And I understand the process from A to Z. And all of a sudden, within a month, I became a systems engineer in the cyber cafe, and I was able to start carrying out stuff like that. So then I started, attending some courses and all of that stuff, taking it further from there. So I think it's very possible. And with the way things are right now, with the way things are going, with the way a lot of technology has evolved, it's very possible to learn, to become an IT, to grow your IT career within the 3 to 4 months. And also, it's very important that you also need to be in that space as well to be able to learn more and be able to continue to develop yourself in the process. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Well, I don't think I missed so much because I heard you talk about, some personal experiences, which I think is key. And the reason why I say is key because most of the times our personal experiences are things that people can actually relate to. So
Yes.
when we're able to share personal experiences, it gives people a bit of a context or give them a bit of a direction to say, oh, okay, this person went through this. I definitely can be able to I can be able to do this also because now I'm relating to what exactly this person is talking about because it's something that I'm experiencing. And I think that that was very, very fantastic. Definitely very fantastic. So I think I'll just throw this question out. So either you or Dorian can actually pick it up. So somebody wants to know that. So do I need to take certifications first, or do I need to, how do I put it? So do I take certifications first,
Certification first or the
take
other
on
way around?
experience? Yeah. So
Yes. So
yeah.
I'd say, sorry, Dory, I just want to answer this question quickly, just so that I just, so I'd say, well, experience is very important as much as certification is important. What's the point of having certification and then you're being given the knowledge, the job to do, and you're not able to do anything? Do you understand? And also another thing I would say from my personal experience is if you're passionate about what you want to do in the IT, in the, building yourself in a career field, you need to continue to familiarize yourself with it all the time, and then you'll be able to grow. And that comes with your experience because even though you're going for a job interview now, they'll be asking you from your experience. Have you worked with Meraki Switch before, or have you, give me a scenario where you've been able to support the users, or from troubleshooting a certain issues and all of that stuff. So it's still part of your experience base, which even the certification would only explain to you the core key things that you need to know, which is good. But your experience differs. The experience you have from A is different from the experience you have from B, and all of that stuff, which is the reason why I'd say you can always start your journey from understanding some basic certification, but experience plays a major role in your career development and your growth, because that way you would, so even though whatever technical jargons you read in junior certification, you'll be able to relate it with the personal practical things that you've been getting yourself involved with at all the time. So that's what I would say. So either way, the two is very important, but I would say experience enhances you more. Like I give an example, I became a systems engineer within a month after working in a cyber cafe. Then I didn't even have a certification then. I didn't even go for any certification then. But because I can do it, because it's something I'm passionate about, I was able to, grow quickly in it. I was able to understand how this worked, how that worked. So even when I started my MCSE, in I remember I did my MCP exam in 2007. I started working at the cyber cafe 2004, 2005. That's how my IT career started. Although I've always been interested in since 2002, but the experience I got from there. And I remember when I did my first certification as a Microsoft certified professional in 2007, I was able to do it at one go, and I passed the exam because I could relate most of the questions to, what I've learned during my, the experience that I've carried along over the years and all of that stuff. And then I agreed to having to understand the server, and then grew to study understanding how things work. And, as things evolve, because I'm a Microsoft person, I would say, things changes and there's a lot of enhancement, and then we continue from there from there. And now it's even more easier for somebody who's just coming because everything is now cloud computing now, which is more easier. Unlike before where everything was manual, now is more of a cloud-based activities, and then I think you need more expertise in that area. So yeah, experience plays a very major key role, and in as much as certification also helps you attain some certain things. To buttress all my points, certification would allow somebody to stop and listen to you, but your experience will enable you continue the conversation with that person. So that's what I say. Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Okay, that was very apt. I feel like I need to ask you how exactly you passed that exam once. Please, we'll talk about it after this meeting because what's going on? Like, how do you have that skill and you haven't shared it with us? But that was actually very very interesting. Thank you, Doreen. Would you want to speak to that also? Because I think that was a general question for actually the
Yeah,
both of you. So I'd like to hear what you
yeah,
had to say also. Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you, Zine. Yeah. So what has it have said? There's something he said that was extremely important. He talked about passion, which is a very key material, or rather, you need that. You need passion because without it, you're not going to go anywhere. To be honest, if I tell you about my career when I started off, I told you earlier on that when we started the meeting that I did mechanical engineering in school. So I graduated as a mechanical engineer. All I did in school was technical drawings about the engines and all those parts. So I came out like a novice. I had no idea of anything, but I love technology. And at that point in time, so many years ago, I loved the path of technology. I saw a lot of things, how technology was changing, and I was very interested about it. So I I tried on my own to learn a lot of things. So I got an opportunity then through my mother, then to get a job offer. I had no idea. So when I was interviewed for the job, it was a network role, really. So I was asked questions on networking, and I didn't know anything. They asked me questions on network mask, they asked me IP, and I was like, I don't know. And the guys, the technical guys, the engineers are looking at me. How did you come here? You don't know anything, you know. And I left there. I wasn't happy about it because I knew I was far gone. But there's something that really happened. Though I had the opportunity to be called back, and I think then I was offered 25K in Nigerian, 25,000 naira, and the offer was that, hey, just come and learn. It's like a job. Come and learn. We're not going to give you some money, you know. And I took it. And the reason I took it wasn't because I would have walked off and do some other things. I get disappointed or get pissed or annoyed and go and do other things. But the reason I took that role, even the money was so small, it wasn't going to do anything for me. I took it because I was passionate about it and I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn. And when I went to that company, in the space of 6 months, I totally changed. I changed because what I knew in that space of 6 months is something I never thought I would knew. So it still boils down to passion. Are you ready? You ask yourself, do you want to go through this path? Then I was ready. So it was easy for me. I just, learn, and I go on my own. When I leave the office, I go home, I learn. Then Google was my best friend. I Google this. If I don't understand the terms, I Google this and I Google that. So it's actually important to learn. So, well, it's not everybody that will have the opportunity to be in the environment where you learn from people. What is important is curiosity. How curious are you? I want to be a network engineer. How curious are you? Are you going out there? Are you asking questions? Are you going online? Asking questions, what are the network elements? Now we have AI. You can go to AI and ask questions. AI can give you the answers. If you're curious, if you're passionate about it, it will be easy to learn. But if you have no joy on it, it's going to be a difficult, long journey. You ask the question, can can you learn IT support network engineering skills in 4 months? Yes, you can. If you're ready to jump that ship. No, you can't. If you're not ready. In a month, with time and dedication, you should be able to understand networking very clearly. With good examples, you should be on your way. Then the skills, with time and dedication, you should have the skills up in 4 months. You might not know everything because of experience, but you're on a good path to where you're going to. You get, so you talked about certification and you talked about certification. We only help you, get you noticed. Oh, this guy has this. Oh, and you're being noticed, but it doesn't get you anywhere more than that. It only gets you noticed, and once you're on the hot seat, you don't know anything. So yes, certifications are good, but they're not good for the work. You need to have work. So if you don't have if you're not lucky to be in an environment to learn, then create labs. I always tell people that I encounter, I don't have any hands-on, there's no hands-on. I tell them that's an excuse. You can have a lab and create scenarios and get some hands-on. There's so many labs out there to create. There are VMs there. If you don't know how to install a VM, create a network entity. You don't have to use Cisco Packet Tracer. It's like a network program. You can connect some bits and dots of routers and stuff. You can always ask. You can always go to AI, tell me how do we do this and this. Your curiosity will take you from level 1 to level 10. If you build labs, you can definitely improve your skills on it. And you can also prove your hands-on. No, you know what I always tell people, once they get to an interview, what most times the recruiters are looking at or they're looking for is your understanding. They know that you might not know everything because depending on where you're going, or depending on the environment you're going, you might have to learn some new things. They might have to train you. Depends on the services. But what they want from you is core knowledge. They want to understand, you understand how it works. Because nonetheless, they might train you. You're on your own environment. But you must understand basic core knowledge. So how do you understand basic core knowledge? By what? By having hands-on. And how do you have hands-on? It's not necessary you have to work somewhere that they're doing their in a network area. You not necessarily, you can do that in your house, in your home, in your workstation. You could build something, create hands-on, create issues, go out there. What are the scenarios to have issues? See how they create the issues, solve them, troubleshoot them. That's how you grow. And that's how you have the opportunities. Opportunities won't come running down to you. You have to create the opportunities. You have to be in a position where you know some things, not all, not necessarily everything, but you have some knowledge about the thing. You know what to do. So when the recruiter asks you some question or technical question, you're able to explain. That is what it's all about. So, like as it said, passion. A
Very.
key is passion. Without passion, without interest, curiosity, you're not going to go anywhere. Frankly speaking, you're going to just be in the same spot, struggling and momming. This is so hard. This is so hard. Oh, it's what? No. So that's what I have to say. So just to make it short, certificates are good, gets you noticed, but doesn't get you across the line. Get some hands-on. If you cannot have experience means you have worked over time somewhere and have gained some knowledge. If you don't have the opportunity to have that experience, then create one for yourself. Get some hands-on for yourself. And you can do that by creating labs for yourself, workstations for yourself, where you can develop those knowledge and skills.
All
right.
Okay, very. I think one very one of the few key things that I've taken away is, in as much as the paper is good, the knowledge is also more important, because you know what, the knowledge helps you get the paper. So yeah, the paper gives you the theoretical experience or the theoretical knowledge, but then it's supposed to sit side by side, or it's supposed to help make amplify the knowledge. Yeah, it's supposed to help amplify the practical knowledge that you have gotten. And I think that's very insightful. I'm really, really excited about that. I would like to introduce somebody, Chidi. Chidi, welcome. Chidi is also one of the speakers that will be speaking here today. Welcome,
Hi
Chidi.
guys.
To have you here.
Hi guys, how's everyone doing? Sorry I'm coming late. I had an engagement I had to attend, so is it is it doubling in, or thanks for covering for me? Hi, hi ID.
Yeah,
Long
hello,
time ago.
Chidi. You're welcome. Good to
How
be
are you doing
around.
now? Let me turn on my camera. I don't know if
Please,
my
some
network.
some of us that are not IT people are here, because I don't trust the both of you now going to start speaking IT terms. So please.
Yeah, well, what's it called? ID is my boss when it comes to technical knowledge, so
Wow.
I'm still learning at his feet. So,
Yeah,
so
fantastic. Go
okay,
on,
so
please.
ID, thanks for I was listening in. I think I joined in like, I think 10 minutes or 20 minutes ago. So I joined in when Aziz was butchering on the importance of experience. Certification is not bad. Like we know with a lot of persons, it's like there is a hack of passing certification nowadays. A lot of people have it. So at the end of the day, what makes you stand out, when it comes to literally everybody that's looking for the same job or for the same role, is what you have in your technical capability. I understand it's not just what's it called, not just the certifications. I think that was like 2 years ago. Somebody reached out to I and Darlington and regarding our PNP or Prince 2. And they were even saying that they could write it for us and we can have it. So it means that when it comes to certifications nowadays, there are some persons that have found a way to even write for people. People will pass it and have it. But it's not just about certification nowadays, it's about what you know, what you can prove that you know. It's not just about certification. So just to put it out there again, knowledge is very important, experience is very important. Try as much as possible to get it, and while you're getting it, once you know you're in the process of getting knowledge, then you can now write certification. If you want to do certification before knowledge, then there might be a bit of a problem, especially if you want to use your certification without knowledge as a bargaining chip. All right, idea at this point, I think one of the things I wanted to even ask you is, I know there is an interrelation between IT engineering, IT support, network engineering, and IT operations. When it now comes to things like, so my question now is, because I know that there are some persons that started from before they became a network engineer, some people started from IT support. So is it mandatory for you to be a network engineer? You start from IT support, or even, for example, now for myself, I'm into project management, but the enterprise network side of project management, meaning that networking experience is very important. So some people will say, if you want to be a technical project manager within the networking field, you must have the best roadmap is to be an engineer first before you become a project manager, because you already have technical knowledge. So from your own standpoint, as someone that's as a core engineer, what do you think is the best approach? If you want to become a network engineer, can you go straight up to starting from a junior network engineer position, or you start from an IT support position, then you grow into a network engineering position? What do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Chidi. That's a very good question. Yeah. Growth is always important. When I started up as a network engineer, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So the environment was intense. Then we're having projects with Glow, MTN, and I had to start as a junior technical engineer and network engineer. The reason why is this: you have to have a learning path. Yeah, the learning path means that you have to learn basic things. You can't be a network engineer just like that. If you look at all people, they always have a story. It has to start from somewhere. So I always telling people this: don't be in a rush. If you want to start up to be a network engineer and you see a role for junior, take it. Take it, because it is a learning path. You have to start from somewhere and you have to grow. So there's nobody I can say I just started being, even the guys that are CCNA, CCNP, there was a learning curve for them. They have to really start from somewhere. You get, but what I most tell people is your background. I'm not saying it's impossible not to be a network engineer. You can if you want to. It just takes the amount of work to be that. A lot of people I've seen that have done CCNA, CCNP, and they passed it, and they didn't necessarily have any background. They didn't work, but they passed the exams. And for CCNA and CCNP, it is practical. It's not objective question. You're doing live simulations. What that means that if you don't know it, you don't know it. And if you pass those certifications, it means you are good. There are different certifications per note. There are certifications you can do that are objective questions, and most of the times the questions are always repeated, so it's always easy to get dumps and you can easily pass it. Everybody can hurry, can just look and pass. And there are certifications that are hands-on. And they give you real life scenarios where you have to troubleshoot and solve an issue. You get, so to be a network engineer, you can be a straight up network engineer, but it depends on your work, time, and dedication you're ready to give for that. So I can be a novice. I love networking. I start through that journey and I pass the certifications. I do CCNA, I do CCNP. I have the hands-on already. I'm good enough to be a network engineer. I may not have experience, but I have knowledge. But also, you can start from somewhere, have basic knowledge, and you say, I want to take my time. I don't want to go deep. And you can pick a junior role, IT support, and you can start from there. So it all depends on the path you want to take. I always advise people, know your capacity, know how ambitious are you, know how have a roadmap for yourself. You get, if you want to be a network engineer now, create a roadmap and you can do it. You can be it. But safer approach for me is take it step by step. Get a junior role, learn some few things, then take it up the notch until you get to that level. So it's preference. I would say I call it preference. How much you're willing to give.
Yeah. Okay, so one question before we go to like the last like practical or live question. So when it comes to network engineering, IT support, IT operations, even things like I even got to realize for you to be a IT infrastructure manager, so you need to even have a bit of understanding when it comes to systems and networking. You can't be an IT or infrastructure manager without that experience. So when it comes to these roles that have similar job responsibilities, what is like the biggest challenge that you think someone will face when it comes to this career path? And the follow-up question to that is, what are like the common networking or network engineering problems, that an IT support and network engineer do face? I just need one because I know that yes, I have my own experience when it comes to working with network engineers, even when it comes to support, because there are some establishments which support their network. So I know the kind of things that come, but I know it from a like a service delivery perspective. I don't really know it from an engineering perspective. So what will you say is like the challenge when it comes to career paths and maybe transitioning or career path growth, and what is the like the common challenge a networking and IT support person tend to face on his real life day-to-day job?
Okay. Is Aziz still on the line?
Who's
Are
that?
you
Is
still with Aziz? Okay.
I think he stepped away for a
Hey,
drink. He
why?
said, "Well, just
Okay.
Yeah, he
So
stepped away for a bit. He's not here yet.
he's not here.
mm,
Okay, fine. Okay. All right. So I don't want him to be left out in the questions.
yeah. I'm checking.
Yeah.
I'm checking. If he's
Uh,
back, I'll
okay.
I'll, I'll
So yeah. My experience is this. See, there are a lot of mistakes. One of the mistakes I've realized over time is don't assume that you know it all. Always ask questions and ask for help. Always do that. Never assume that you know it all. Once you're in a place where you have a problem, ask questions. Ask your colleague, ask your managers. Don't ever think or don't ever assume that you could do this on your own. Always
Mhm.
ask questions. And the reason why I say this is this. I've been in situations where I've seen people really, really make mistakes that have actually cost them their jobs.
Mm,
Yes, because they just want to just do it because they believe they are there and they want to get results. They want to improve their KPI. They want to show. They want to be a hero. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that,
mm.
because that is a very common issue. Another mistake is this: always be in touch with evolving technology. See, as I speak, I'm learning. Not ever settle. The worst mistake any engineer would do is to settle. You can't afford to settle. If you settle, technology will leave you behind. You'll be old school. Technology is evolving fast, and you have to evolve with it, or you'll be left behind. Don't ever make a mistake and be comfortable and say, "Oh, I know it all." You don't know anything. You'll be surprised that there are a lot of things that will come up, and you'll be found wanting. Always improve yourself. Always stay updated with what is going on. If you're in networking, you look at the new technologies in networking. You understand, is a part they call BGP, a routing protocol. Has it been improved? Is there a new way to create VLANs? Sorry, I'm talking a little technical.
Mhm.
You get
Mhm.
there are things you need to evolve. You need to continue to learn. You can't just settle. A lot of people that I know that settled and they believe they know it all and they settled, they didn't bother themselves. They were left behind. They had to now catch up. Then we have gone to cloud, other things. Formerly, I was an infrastructure engineer. I was never a container engineer. I was never a container. I was more of a hardware infrastructure guy. You get, but I
Mm.
never settled. I continued to learn. So when the container technology came into being, I took the opportunity, I took the initiative, and I started learning container technology. Because let me let you know, the opportunities will certainly come your way. And the only way to take those opportunities when they come is only if you are ready. Are you ready? Now you're looking at all these big jobs with big monies. This job, look at the amount they're paying. This 120,000 pounds a year. Those are opportunities. If you know the job role well, if you have the skills. So let me give you an instance now. I'm an engineer, right? I want more money. I want to do more things. And I'm an engineer, obviously, yeah. And I'm not really working on myself. I'm just comfortable. And there are job opportunities coming my way. Job opportunities that if I had improved myself, I would have gotten those job opportunities. A lot of people settle. That's the problem. A lot of people settle with what they know. And when they see all these big jobs, they are complaining, I can't get this job. But when the opportunity is on your table, did you take the initiative? The reason why you didn't get the job is because you are not qualified enough for the role. You don't have the skills for the role. That's just the reason. And it's not that the jobs are difficult. The jobs are not difficult if you have the skill. If you can demonstrate the skill, you will get the job. Because the opportunities are there. They are coming, they are just there. But the job is in lack. That's why you see so many jobs and you're wondering why I'm not getting it. The reason why some people are not getting a job because you're not qualified for the role. You don't have the skill for the role, but the jobs are still there. If you go on LinkedIn, you see so many jobs, the job opportunities are there, but the people are not skilled enough to meet those requirements. That's the problem. So that's a very big mistake. One, don't ever settle. Two, don't always ask questions, always try to improve yourselves. Don't be a hero. And one of the third things again that I see a lot of mistakes engineers normally do, apart from improving yourself and not lying at asking questions, is always have a road map. Always have a road map. At the beginning of the year, you ask yourself, what do I want to achieve this year career-wise? What amount of certifications I want to do this year? How do I want to improve myself this year? This same role of job, I'm earning A. Do I want to stay earn A or do I want to earn B? What do I need to get to B? How can I upskill myself to get to B? A lot of people don't have that roadmap. They just settle and relax and continue to do their job. You have to have that as an engineer. So like 3 mistakes, I find that are problematic actually. I hope I've not taken too much time. I've talked too much.
No, you haven't. So I think what's it called? As you brought up this roadmap thing, so it got you even spoke to this particular session I wanted to talk about, which is more or less about the transition plan. So transition plan, basically you need to have your roadmap, right? So
Exactly.
most of what you said is very, very important. How do you, for example, you talked about, trying to see the kind of technology, if there's any changes to a certain technology and that has to do with a bit of research. So now, when it comes to mentor partners, one of the things that we do is we don't, a lot of people want to transition, but that road mapping for each individual is very, very important, which is what it is we do in a mentor partner. So if you say, oh, you want to be this, you want to be a IT support engineer, you want to be a systems engineer, you want to be a IT infrastructure manager, you must have a roadmap how you go about what's it called. Correct. How you go about, your trainings, your upskillings, the kind of tools you know how to use, and most of the time you must have to start with the research. Okay, what are the key things I need to know as somebody that wants to go into this? So there is that market research point, and there is now that career planning clinic we do for each individual, right? Then there is now even the trainings. So for example, when it comes to networking, we have maybe, I think I recently even checked like what you're talking about, checking how things are changing. Cisco now has what they call CCST. It's like a certification for IT support. Before, it's something they just introduced, I think, sometime last year. Before, it wasn't in existence, but it's something you can get before you even get the CCNA. So there are a lot of things, a lot of trainings out there now that people like Cisco, certification that like Cisco have brought out. So apart from this certification, Cisco has a lot of training platforms. I think I did one time you sent me, was it net card or something like that. So there are a lot of places you can learn a lot of things, right? So there's a training certification training part. Then there's now once you now start with us as mentor partners, you must have a time where you do your training before you start going into your mentoring and volunteering parts. This is where you are going to be paired with somebody that has the experience. That you now see how the person do his or her things. Then, when you are done with this part, this is when we're now planning or preparing you for the job market. Now, this whole thing takes between 1 to up to 6 months. It depends on the kind of how the program is structured before we not get to the point of continuous improvement. So just to speak to what it is you just mentioned, there must be a roadmap, there's a transition plan, and the mentor partners will have that. So it's very, very important that you want to achieve something, you want to be at this point, be at a certain point in your career at a certain time. It's not just by mouth. You have to lay out a plan and know when some of all these things will come into our show. Thank you for that point, because it brought me to this point. So I think the final, just to close, right? The final thing is just going to be questions for your ideas, just for someone that has a vast experience like yourself, what will be your advice to people? This is just a closing remark now for people that want to go into this field of IT support, maybe IT service manager, IT infrastructure manager, or network engineering. What is your final advice to people when it comes to transitioning in this part when it comes to IT support or network engineering as a whole?
Yeah, thanks, Chidi. So my advice to especially people that wants to transition, like I said, I was talking to Ezine. I was never an IT person. I graduated as a mechanical engineer. I had zero knowledge. Zero knowledge. I even spoke about how I got a 25K job just to learn. I didn't care. You get we all have a journey. So once I see people, like I said earlier, you have to have passion. It's important. If you want to go into IT, you shouldn't be going into it because you think you can make more money. Yes, it's possible. You can make more money. Yes, the job is very lucrative, but you have to have passion. You have to be passionate about it. Something has to fuel your interest, or else you're going to gas out before you even started. You have to have some interest. You have to have some amount of curiosity. That's you want to know this thing. Because if you don't have passion, curiosity to learn, it will be a very difficult journey. Now, we're talking about transitioning. You might not have any technical acumen per se, but you're trying to move to this role. You must want to do it, not because you want to earn more, but because you're curious about it. You want to learn new things. You want to learn the adventure. I want to this thing that is buzzing all over the place. Cloud, this, people are making a lot of money. What is it all about? You must have that. Because if you don't have, and you're not passionate about it, you're not curious about it, you will not be able to go through that roadmap to complete transition. It will be very difficult because you don't have any interest in it. It will be hard to learn because you're learning new things you're not very conversant about. So you have to have passion. Very key ingredient: passion, curiosity. Second thing, you have to have a plan. I'm always telling people you have to have a plan. When I started my journey, like I said, I didn't have any IT knowledge. When I started my journey, I had a plan. Yes, I was happy. I was curious about it. I was very, very curious. I was, very happy. I wanted to know new things. I had to have a plan. I gave myself 1 year. Now there's no mentoring, or there was no mentors partners there, obviously. you know. So, but I had to create a plan for myself, and the plan was, what do I want to achieve at the end of the year? You know, what do I want to achieve? And I can remember then I had a small diary then, and the one thing I said that by the end of the year, I want to be a network engineer. I put that down. I want to know this, I want to know that, and I want to know this, and I want to know that. And I kept that note. For everything that I know, I go back there and I check it. How am I faring? So you have to have a plan. What do you want to achieve? At what duration do you want to achieve it? Having a plan will keep you disciplined. We put your goals in focus. I'm always telling people that nothing is ever hard to know. Nothing is hard to know. If you're interested in it, you know it. I was telling Aziz that, see, you can learn anything. You can learn anything, but you have to have interest in it. You can learn anything. But you have to want to learn it. Nobody's going to force you. So, and you have to have practice time. For instance, I was telling some people out there, I was telling them, see, you want to know about cloud computing. How many times have you gone on the internet? Or there's so many AI tools here and went to search cloud computing. What's it all about? How do I learn it? You have to be curious. You have to know. Because the more you search, the more you're curious, the more you learn. So roadmaps are important. Being passionate is important. And one last thing I have to say is this: don't be discouraged. See, the journey is not an easy one, to be honest. It takes your time and it takes dedication. And most of the time, you might hit some roadblocks where you will be wondering, how do I learn this thing? How do you ask yourself, I don't think I can learn this thing, and you feel discouraged. You feel like, well, I should just settle with what I'm doing instead of bothering myself. Please don't. Always always strive to want to know it. The challenges are there, but if you thrive longer, if you continue to dedicate yourself, you'll be surprised to what you can achieve. Where I work right now, the technology that I know right now, it was hard. You understand? Because the technology wasn't being used. In where I work, where I was formerly working, technology wasn't being used. It's something I learned on my own. I created labs on my own. I developed the skills on my own. There was no experience. I never had it. Hands-on experience, like I said, go create labs for yourself. If you don't know how to create labs, ask questions. There are people that will help you. Create labs, create the skill. Not everybody can have experience. No, but you can create one for yourself. Like I said earlier, create labs, create scenarios of issues by yourself. Okay? And see how you can solve those issues. And if you're not sure, go online, find those answers, research. That's how you create experience for yourself. You don't necessarily have to work as a network engineer for one company for 5 years to get a job. You can be a network engineer, you can train yourself, you can develop yourself, you can get all the skills you need all by yourself. It's just time and dedication. So don't be discouraged that, I don't have any experience. How am I going to get a job? Or how am I going to get a job? I need to be working in a network environment. No, you don't necessarily have to work in it. You can develop the skills by yourself. You can develop the experience by yourself. And how do you do that? By creating problems, by creating scenarios by yourself and solving those scenarios. Because if you go to a recruiter, always asks you, this happens. What do you do? How do you solve this? These are technical questions. You know, if you don't have experience, obviously you won't know now. I don't know now. I've not worked. But if you can create that experience, you can know. So because recruiters want to know, especially technical recruiters, they know that you might not know everything, but their goal, like I said earlier, is to see if you have core knowledge. That's what they're interested in. Because they might train you when you come to the environment. They might not train you on their own proprietary systems. They might give you some training. But for them to be sure, they want to know if you have core experience or that core skills. And once they find that you have core skills, they're fine with you. But once they find you don't have those core skills, they move on. So what am I saying in essence? There's no excuse if you want to transition. The only limiting factor is yourself. Now, thank God for mentors, partners. You have people that can mentor you. Unlike my own time, nobody mentored me. But thank God you have mentors, partners, right? And there are people that can mentor you, make you have that experience faster than you can imagine. Chidi said 6 months. It's very possible. Once you have a mentor that can mentor you, show you things that you need to know, you can be ready in 6 months because the mentors are telling you real life situations that they are teaching you, they're showing you. So you have this guide whereby you're able to know that job quicker, faster. Yeah. So like I said, don't be discouraged. It's a tough journey, definitely, but we must be ready because the toughness of the journey, it's dependent on how much you're willing to give, how much time and dedication you're willing to put into it, how much work you're ready to put into it. If you're ready to put in the work, you'll get there. If you're not ready to put in the work, it will be a total waste of your time. So that's my advice. Stay focused, discipline, create the goals, and you'll be home and dry.
Thank you very much, Ivy. Thank you very much. That was a very good one. So for persons interested, we're looking forward to helping you on the journey of upskilling, in mentor partner. So I don't know if there's any contributions is in Aziz here. I can see that in here. Any other contributions from the mentor partners team before we call it the night?
Thank you so much, Chidi. I think I would just like to say that for those who want to be able to book a session, we have a free consultation for you. The link is on the chat box. Please book your free consultation and let us begin the step into your transition in the right direction. And lastly, as we can see on the screen being projected, are details of our next webinar. And like I always say at the end of the webinar, it gets interesting as we go on. So for our next webinar, we'll be talking about the future of tech, and then we'll be talking about building and mastering product management. These are topics that I know people are interested in. So please, the link for the next webinar will be dropped in the chat box. Click on our website link, go to our event page, register for the next webinar, and then we'll be here again same time next week to give you more insights and interesting information on what Mentor Partner does and how best we do it. That will be all from me, Chidi.
Thank you very much, Zinin. Thank you for your help today. Thank you, ID. Also, special thanks to the team, and we'll be looking forward to seeing everybody again in our next webinar. Thank you very much, and have a good
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, ID.
Bye, everyone.